the stick. You have a slight injury or so through racing throughout the years. Talk us a wee bit through. We're really going in deep here straight away, but we'll get out of the road and then we'll get into. I want to talk about 1991 in particular, but tell us a wee bit about your injury.
Well, it wasn't motorcycling. It just came along. I probably, what year was it? 2006, I think. Tumour, and got through it with some chemo, and came back again, and sort of came back at me 3 times. So eventually it was leg and hip off. So fine then, well, get on with it. Keep the head down, keep going.
And you're running your own team now.
Yeah,
And that's
having a ball.
yeah.
We've 2 TZ 250s have been running Ian Locker and Mike Brown the last couple of years, and so having real fun with that. And then this year we've hooked up with Simon Warren over here from Melbury and have a little patent for Mike for the TT, so looking forward to that.
I seen it earlier on at the show. How many of you were at the show today? One tomorrow. Good. Fantastic. Can I just have a round of applause for James and the team? Because an absolute get to put it on. And the pattern, is it carbon fibre or is it wrapped?
No, it's carbon fibre.
Full carbon fibre. Eddie asked me earlier on, what do you think of the colour scheme? Is it okay? And I was near lost for words with it. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. What you put together, the bikes that you put together, it falls with the racing that you did in the past. They're absolute immaculate. If it's not perfect, it doesn't go out.
Yeah. No, it was all part of it. I think that's where myself and Simon sort of clicked together, because he used to watch me years back and always remembered the bikes. I always had pretty good bikes, and clean bikes always sort of tend to finish races. Some of the time I'm over at especially the Manx end of it, I see some bikes going up into scrutiny, and you wouldn't go to the shop on them. You'd be afraid. So I just think preparation is good. You find out if there's a fault. So it's one of those, and you're putting somebody else on a bike going down Grey Hill, so it has to be right.
Yeah. We're just talking preparation a wee bit. We'll go back in your career to 91. Was it Japan Grand Prix? You were riding the Yamaha.
Yamaha, yeah. Basically, what happened, I was riding for Joe Miller from '86 on, and I was on a 500 Honda doing privateer stuff really in Grand Prix. We were hopping between roads like we do the Ulster and then go to Donington for the British Grand Prix.
That's amazing.
But those were the days when you could get a...
Not easy.
Yeah. But basically, like I remember we were in Austria and there was only 13 riders on the grid. Like there was 10 factory bikes and 3 privateers. So the 500s were gone, really they were gone. And Kenny Roberts really was pushing for Yamaha to come up with, a production bike or something like RG 500s back in the day earlier on. And so basically what they did, they looked at us because we were sort of doing all right, and they knew maybe like Joe, whatever, that we were there, and they said that Yamaha said that they would give one bike out, and if somebody could ride it for a year, they would produce engines for Rock and Harris. So basically what they did, they gave me the bike for a year, made sure we could run it and get on with it, and then they produced, well, I think it was 30 engines, so all of a sudden the following year there was 34 on the grid.
Wow.
So that's how it all started, the whole sort of 500 thing came back.
Mm-hmm. And this was a 4-cylinder?
Yeah. Like we literally flew into Japan with nothing. I had contracts with Arai helmets and Kushitani leather, so literally got on the plane with a bag of clothes and got off the plane in Tokyo. And it was a bit of a comedy, to be honest with you. There was myself, Joe Miller and Drew, my mechanic, and everything was in Japanese. And we were trying to get one of those high-speed trains out to Yamaha to Iwata, and all we could do was find out when the train was due, which we knew, and then we to leg it to the right station to get the train, and eventually we made it. And all I had with me was a picture of the 500 in his colours. So we went to Yamaha, and the whole deal was being done on the table, and I didn't know if it was going to happen, to be honest with you. We were sitting there, and they were going on about the YZR, blah, 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 and it came down to money. And we didn't know what was going to happen, and they just said, whatever it was in yen at the time, they just turned around, and Joe was trying to work it out, and then all of a sudden it was about, I think it was £101,000
Did his weight fall?
to lease. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know what was going to happen. Like suddenly Joe's face changed, and he said, "Can we work that out a bit over the year?" And it did, and that's the way it started. And then Joe got that link and kept it going for years. So we always got factory Yamahas, you know. And this was a proper YZR. They brought us up, literally up a little mountain road into a shed, and there was women working away packing spares kits for, I think the old W01 had just come out. And there was this YZR white just sitting in the corner, and that was on the Monday. And on Wednesday afternoon, the truck arrived into Suzuka, into the circuit. The Yamaha truck opened her up, all painted up in Miller colours, like this. Blew my mind. It was amazing, yeah.
Wow. When you
Yeah.
think of that now, like in 96, when you say 101,000, that must be like a million.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the type of money Joe Miller was.
Yeah, absolutely. That was 91. Like, you could have probably bought 2 or 3 houses.
Yeah.
You know, it was incredible.
Like you're sitting, basically it's a bike you never rode before.
Yeah.
It's brand new.
Brand new,
Never
never been to Suzuka,
Yeah.
and it last rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, first session, like, so it was one of those, you know.
Yeah. And they put up this whole setup and
Yeah.
the nerves.
And they just kept a Yamaha technician in with us all the time, but he wouldn't touch it, just to keep an eye on us.
Right.
And that was it. We took off from there, and away we went, you know.
So
It's fantastic.
You were basically for them you were a test dummy for
Complete, yeah, absolutely. And especially for Rock and Harris, because if it didn't work out, 500s were gone,
They were,
basically.
yeah.
You know, it was amazing, yeah.
And how did you get on?
I actually got off. I did quite well actually in the wet practice, and as it dried up, obviously the other guys that knew the place and had been on them and on those tires were good. And during the race, there's a like right, left, right up the back of Suzuka. You know, you're climbing up the hill, and I just on the last right-hander, I think I just nailed it too much, and I got about 20 foot in the air. So
Joe Miller's weight was down.
Miller was not happy. But I had to be actually carried back on the train and everything. I got, what do they call it, parachuter's foot or something. I landed on my feet.
Oh.
So, and the next race was in Australia, and I couldn't put my feet on the ground for about 4 days. Like, it was madness. And then we got to Australia, and we had to find some guy to paint. You know, so it was a bit of a hello, you know, welcome to Grand Prix racing.
Yeah.
It was good.
Shock to the system, shock to Grand
Absolutely.
Prix 500
Yeah.
CC racing.
Yeah. But,
And you
great
got out.
times.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, sounds good. But we'll move on to Brian. Now, Brian, talking about Yamaha and Grand Prix racing and World Championships and whatnot. I want to know what was going through your head and how you felt your first World Championship win.
Well, I got, what year was it?
I know we're
1985. 1985. Well, we had Mick Mooney, who sponsored me, Irish Racing Motorcycles, and he asked me what my opinion was about going to do Formula 2 World Championship racing and getting it back built. And, you know, obviously I was over the moon to hear he wanted to do it. So first year was 1984. I got it back built, but it was really too late in the season, but we finished third in the championship last year.
Mhm.
Then we decided to get sponsor to build us a frame and get a new engine, and yeah, that went well, and we were leading we led the TT, and then the ignition packed up. But they came and told me afterwards if I'd won the race that there was going to be a protest from Ducati.
Oh, right.
Because Rudder, he won the race and he was on Ducati. And they told me there was a part of the crankcase that was machined and they were saying it was illegal, which...
And this was the Italians, it wasn't Rubber at all?
No, it was Ducati.
Yeah.
So they thought this was illegal, but obviously everybody but the Yamaha had it done.
Yeah.
So as the year went on and I started to win the races, I was waiting on a protest coming every time. So the final round was at Dundrod, and with about 6 weeks to wait between the two rounds. So it was a really nervous time waiting for it to come around. But I had said to Mick, if Ducati protests, even if I win the race and win the championship, they could protest, and if it was upheld, we could lose the championship. I said, so why don't we build an engine without this machining done?
Mm-hmm.
So we built another engine without the machining, and I won the race at Dundrod for a champion, and then Ducati protested against the first 5 bikes, which were all Yamahas.
Right.
So they started going down from 5th down, and the scrutineers asked, was the machining done on your engine? Yes, and then moved on until they came to Mick. And Mick says, no, ours isn't machined. So he said, right, well, then your engine has to come apart because we have to check this. So Mick D was pulling the engine apart, and they heard that I had crashed in the 250 race, which was straight afterwards. So I was on my way to the hospital with a broken femur.
Right.
And Mick D was pulling the engine apart and tears dripping him. But obviously, the bike was legal and there was nobody excluded. So, but it was just to make sure.
So you felt great during your World Championship win?
In about a half hour after the race.
And what difference did the machining do to the
It made no
crankcases?
difference to performance or anything.
Why do it?
It was to stop the centre
Center
bearing from floating, yeah. But there was no advantage to performance advantage at all.
So it was fine for one race, but anything other than that, the burn might have started to move.
No, well, we ran the engine the way it was, and it was fine. It was just one of those things. It was one of those just belt and braces, to make sure it didn't float. And everybody else ran it, and nobody was ever excluded after that. But I just thought at the time, if it was upheld, we would have lost the whole thing. So.
Yeah. So you were in hospital when you won the championship.
Basically, I celebrated in the Royal Victoria Hospital.
Celebrated across the road to the. There's been a few riders across the road to the pub that time, but Johnny, we'll have a wee word with Johnny. Johnny, I've heard a lot of stories about
No, that's true.
it's true. And it's, first of all, I want to hear your side of the van on the way to Agadoo. Do you remember this?
I remember, but absolutely nothing to do with me, that one.
No,
I think we're asking the wrong money.
I can, he is.
He swerved.
He swerved it. I can.
There's nowhere near
He
it.
was as dirty on the road as he was on the track. We were just past him coming down the
That's a
opposite
shit
way on
start,
the brakes.
guys.
And he swerved and he put us clean over the head.
Proper short circuit style on the road.
I can assure you guys, I was parked safely up in that day. Heard the word. He put it on his side again.
Johnny, talk us through a bit your career. Well, first of all, I really want. I have to get you on the podcast, but we'll do a wee bit now. Tell us from the beginning, your first machine. I want to picture it in my head. You know, we'll talk about it later. But anyway, it's not for your ears. But we'll get. Tell us about the first machine and why you got into motorbikes.
Well, I guess common knowledge that my father helped a lot of guys, and especially Joey. And I was quite young and just running around after them and thought it was great. But my first machine, I think you could ask this man here. He wrote it. My father was sponsored corner on it. The following year, then I started, and that's where it started.
And it was to get onto the grid, to finally get it, because you wanted to race for so long, to finally get onto the grid. Tell us how you get on your first race. You can. Don't worry.
I know the first road race was the Kickstand 100.
Yeah.
I was reserved to get on the grid. I think there was something like 97 riders in 3 groups.
Unbelievable.
And,
On a grid, by the way.
I started in Group C and I managed to win Group B.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure where I finished very well.
Mm-hmm. But that's when there was heats. The grids were massive. Even if you look at short circuits, back in the day, you could probably see 15 riders on the front row alone, and the smoke, the 250s, the 350s. It's phenomenal. But your career from going from a machine from Conor McGinn to championship wins, and did you ever think at that stage, your first road race, that your career was gonna go so high?
Not really.
Or were you were just there? You were there for the crack like everyone else.
Just there and enjoying it. And I think up here we're all blessed that we raced in the good times. So we did, and we all did each other. And it was double down the way down the road. I think if I didn't race on a Sunday, I don't think I ever went home from a sore.
Is it okay? I heard earlier on that you and Alan were coming up the road together. I was slightly worried.
It's just not as good a driver. It's sort of like he goes in the inside lane. He used to be always in the outside lane.
Well, I don't know how fast he was back then, but he's got a lot faster now.
Oh, really?
And if you want to know how good he is, just ask him again.
So, with your career spanning, obviously, your son, multiple time world champion, and you've travelled the world with him. We'll touch on it a wee bit with him going it now to test rider back with Honda. So, what was the idea? Did he tell you much about it, or was it through into the air, like sort of? Oh, by the way,
He talked about it, but me and John have a close relationship, but we're not in each other's face all the time. But he ran it past me that he was thinking of retiring, and he did have 2 hard years there at the last. Well, I was glad to see it happen. The testing with Honda come up, and I talked to him last week, and he said, I'm enjoying it that, so I'm hanging on.
And he's posting the lap times or showing it. He's looking strong with Honda, and he's obviously progressing the machine.
Yeah, he's enjoying it. He says the bike's good. It just needs a bit more development. I think he'll surprise a couple of people in the next couple of races coming up.
Is he going to get a wild card?
Well, he's definitely doing Portugal. He said he's sort of 99% chance to be doing Assen. And he's doing the New Donington, so he's will see him about.
There's going to be a comeback on the cards. Anyway, talk about good drivers and bad drivers. Conor McGinn. Conor, I didn't mean it that way, did I? Oh Jesus! I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it. Conor.
We had our times driving vans as well as
Yeah.
Johnny and Alan Irwin going down to roundabouts. We used to end up in coffees after Mondello. And we'd be there to close the time. And there'd be race of vans going back down the nice carriageway. And then there was one night when we were tearing along, and there was Ian Switzer in his van, and I'm in mine. They were big twin-wheeler transits. And there was Alan Coulter was as well, and we were dicing down, coming all the way back down the nice carriageway towards Newlands Cross, thinking we were doing business. And as we slowed up for one of the many traffic lights, he decided to better back off a bit. And who went past down us on the hard shoulder? Eddie Laycock. I'll never forget the dust and the dirt. And he swerves in front of us and his fingers out the window. New kid on the block he was. 1980. So we had our times off the track as well.
There used to be always drama going to the track, but on the track as well. I've been asked personally to bring this up. Clockwater Bridge.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, is right. Oh dear, is right. I don't know if you know me, but you ran over my grandpa.
Right.
Yeah. You didn't only run him over, you sent him over the bridge.
Yeah, I did. He was a marshal, I think, on the bridge.
He obviously wasn't looking where he was going.
He had that much choice, and this bike came somersaulting at him. Unfortunately, yes, I lost it on the Clockwater Bridge after having a very frustrating warm-up laps. That's what it was. 1977. I was there with TZ, and I was off pushing down to get the warm-up lap going, and the bike got going, and it suddenly started spitting and banging. And it was the rotor had come off the rotor had come off the end of the crankshaft. Yeah. So I quickly spotted it with a few. Brendan Ryan was with me at the time, the late Brendan Ryan. We quickly got the rotor back on with and got going. But sure, I was too late to do the practice laps, and the race was just about to get started. And I was still just fixing it up. The race got started, and in my efforts to try and catch them up, I was out of breath and not really watching it. And then it was on that first or second lap. I had just got it wrong into Clockwater Bridge, and I went up, jumped it over it, but lost control of it. The bike went one way, I went the other. The bike hit there. I think it was more fortunate he was watching. I don't think it actually hit him. I think it was him jumping off the bridge.
He made it, yeah. He broke a few bones, but yeah.
I don't think he actually got hit, but it was a bad accident. So it was.
It's alright, I'm not here for claiming.
But I did meet him. I did meet him some years later that year. He did come out. Myself and Jeff Cronin were coming back from Kirkston, and there was this car coming up behind us all the time, trying to catch us up and flashing the lights out. And we thought, this could be loyalists.
You wouldn't be wrong.
These were trying times in '77. We had somebody flashing lights and trying to catch up with you. And you're trying to make it back to the border. And eventually he came up alongside and he jumped out and he said, "Come again, you come." Hang the bond and he knocked you off. Is that all it was about? He was going to be coming up with it.
Took us 2 days to find them. But you didn't come out so late in that incident.
No, I had a ferocious bang on the head. It was severe concussion. I still have that helmet at home. It split from one side right across the top of the other, and it lost me here. I lost me here on my left side.
Yeah.
Sorry. And it was all numb in the face for an awful long time. But a lot of it came back again. I still have that helmet. But I used to always say that the very fact that the helmet split open was the reason that saved me. The reason that the reason the helmet cracks open is because it absorbs the impact. You know, it's like a modern day car crashing. They fold up to absorb the impact rather than transmit the impact through. And so it's good old AGV agro helmet stood there at home with a big crack in it, but saved me anyway. And I got back out. What, 5 weeks, 7 weeks later, I think it was. And at that stage, I had sort of. This is only my second year racing. It was only halfway through the second year, 77. I started first racing. It was Paddy's weekend in Mondello, 76, and came here with DMG, Derek McGuire afterwards, and we celebrated with a dinner and a few pints in Dollars Hotel.
Right.
50 years ago this weekend, yeah. Anyway, my real memory of after that accident was, now I'm hurt. Now I know what can happen. And then, are you going to fully keep doing this? Are you going to give it up or back off or just wait for the ride? And I said, no, I'm going for this time. And all that year I had a ding dong with Joey Dunlop, non-stop. Every single Mondello was just, but I couldn't get near him, couldn't near him. And that's when Johnny's dad would come over and he just thumbs up, you know.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Yeah, the first time I got to know him, you know, and it paid off in the end when he got me a bike as well. But it was in that race then, after coming back after that injury, and I said, I'm going for it, I'm just going for it. And away we went at the start of the race, and it was Mervyn, Joey's brother-in-law, Robinson, in front of me, and Joey. And it just got the two of them on the first or second lap, and I said, I'm going. And it was the first time I'd ever beaten them, the Armada lads, as it were. And Joey and Mervyn had such a dominance in Mondello at that stage. I got ahead and I convinced myself, I said, yes, I'm here to stay. Injury or no injury, we'll keep on racing.
And was that clockwise or anti-clockwise track?
That would have been anti-clockwise, yes.
Anti-clockwise, so going up the hill.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Going left hand in. So,
What was that like? Because you hear a lot of the riders now, they say the track was built to go anti-clockwise. Do you think there would be any difference, or?
Well, at that particular time, it suited both ways very well.
This is mainly my excuse.
Yeah.
Because I have fell off at every corner at Mondello Park. And I said to the dad, oh, that's not right, the camera's not right.
No, that's the way the bikes always went left hand in. There was only one particular race meeting every year. The Christy Clark races at the end of the year were always run the right hand in.
Yeah.
And that was in memory of Christy Clark, who only ever raced right. And that was way back. But now the circuits are made in such a way and designed in a way, with so many safety factors, they'll all have to go one direction. So left hand in was the choice at the time, and worked out very well. And it was a good initiation into the game, because thereafter I had Joey and Mervyn as good friends, and went up, stayed in Armagh and lived a good life up there, and got introduced to John Ray. Career went on and all the way.
Getting in trouble and all the usual.
Indeed,
All the
all
usual.
about it, other badness, and lots of hard work and sweat and hard tears, and night time as well, we did on those 2 strokes to keep them going. But it was all worth it.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. And
Proper grassroots.
And as Johnny says, glad we survived it well. We must remember all those who didn't. They're all our good mates.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you're between road racing and short circuits, primarily you were a road man. You just wanted to stay on the roads.
Oh, indeed. I mean, many of us had learnt our trade on the roads. Driving public road bikes, that's what I did. I was going across the Dublin Mountains every Sunday afternoon at 16 or 17 years of age, you know? So you knew how to keep it in between the edges of the ditches, or you went in and out and made the other side and survived. But yes, I think road racing was the prime purpose of our intent, because it was the main thing, and then trying to dominate the TT and Northwest and Ulster events,
Yeah.
which we gladly did. But we were purposeful at first enough road races, but we enjoyed our weekends out in Mondello or over the Grand Patch and Scoot Park, places like that. We were always very welcome and had great crack over there as well.
Obviously, well, you are here, as you said, tell the tale, which is fantastic. But we'll come back to you and we'll return. Do you want to throw it down, or
No,
we'll throw it down? we're not insured for that. So, we'll not talk about insurance. Alan, so what's your take on that day? Head to Agaday.
Dom was driving, and I think it was 11 of us on the van.
Johnny's got the red wine out now. We're messing it up. We hear this shit.
Most people, like, if you make a good move, they accept it. But it was just
That's coming from an Irwin, Johnny.
You was talking about breaking, like coming down out of Mandela down the dual carriageway. Well, we were just going. The racing bit's always in, except my mechanic was driving, but he was an ex-racer as well. And it just had to go on the brakes. But then when you race, you find there's nice people to race with and there's dirty buggers. Sort of shut the door. We went over the heads and it sort of spun and spun. I thought I walked out the door, but I actually walked out the windscreen. The partition come through, the bikes come through the top of the partition. The van, but the hammer in it. Whenever I walked out half dazed. I actually did think I walked out the door, but there was no windscreen. I turned and walked back in, and there was I had like a big jack, you know, 4-wheel jack, lying on top of my ma's head.
A bottle jack?
No, like a trolley jack.
Oh, the trolley jack.
So I lifted it off for chasing my ma. Apart from a couple of black eyes and a few bruises here and there, so it's alright.
You alright, man?
The dad, he had a broken collarbone. Don, he was hanging to the steering wheel upside down. He had fractured his hip. So anyway, that was fine. Right, like everything was everywhere, like all over the field. And the police arrived. I'm like, you can't say Johnny Ray was a dirty bugger. And
He was already knocking out with his kettle.
I took him up the next day to lift the fucking van.
he actually felt guilty. Ray Sawmills pulled it out of the field, and the police, I have to tell you this first, it was lying on its side, and the number plates are ripped off. They just went through the hedge. So the police come, and I get one of them policemen, and he's an asshole. And he's going like, where's the number plate? And I go, what? The number plate? And I said, like, my uncle was lying on the ground still, black eyes lying there. I said, you're worried about the number plate? And I said, look on the hedge. And he's writing everything down. And he done me for everything he did. He was writing it all down, and the stupid twat, all you could hear out of and I looked, that's noise, and I was like, there's a red diesel flying out. Oh! The other side you never even caught up. So anyway, for a long story short, the farmer said to the police, if you take the van out through the hedge where it come in and fix the fence,
He's happy.
I'd be happy. And the police said to me, if you do that, I'll not prosecute you.
Wow.
So Ray Sawmills come up the next day and pulled it back out through the hedge away from there.
With a crane?
Yeah, and put it back on its feet. Now the van was sitting straight in wheels, but sitting sort of like that. The doors, no doors, there wasn't a door but shut on it. So
That's nice, that's nice.
Johnny did feel guilty, like, you know, he never paid me penny, like. He did run me up the Agaday because of the van. So we got the van, no windscreen, tied the doors shut, tied the back door shut, and the water hose broke out. That was all we could find wrong. So we
Yeah, it's
pulled
fine.
that bit off it, and pulled the hose up a bit and joined it and put water on it. That thing started up. I drove that in Mogadoo to his dad's yard. I got there with a helmet on. All through like.
I can picture you too, with the helmets on. Driving up. That was madness.
And the thing about it was, got back to the John's yard, So I come up and John Rice said to me, Joey's looking the back end out of that van.
I won't say that, you didn't rope him.
I robbed him.
Who robbed him?
I charged him £600. The van wasn't worth that. I charged him for the accident.
So John says, what do you want for it? I says, tell Joey whatever he thinks. So Joey come up and he went, it was partly giving him 4 mile an hour more, in other words, 508 and a 608 down the motorway.
Yeah.
So if you're heading down England, 4 mile an hour is a lot. Gets the back end out of it.
It's just because it's changed the axle.
Yeah, just different ratios,
Yeah.
a wee bit more. And Joey gave me 4 tires. Well, I'm going to be dead honest. Have you seen the state of the 4 tires? He gave me a wet tire, like
Well used.
well used. It's a pure scrap. All 4 tires were scrap. And so I said, "Flip me, Joey." That wasn't great. So I gave him the back. It was Joey's, so you give him it.
Yeah.
But like, and in later years, we'll maybe talk about that later, like, there's other things happening in life, and I show you I got a lot more out of him than a back. But that was the head of it.
But when you crashed, you made it down to the anyway.
Yeah, I did. I went with my mum and dad at the hospital, like.
Right.
I mean,
That was good. That was good of you.
Dawn to cap him in because his pelvis was cracked. And they'd be like the mama, he came out like to be in the boxing ring with black eyes. You know. Jesus, man, look at you.
You're a stadium man.
The dad with a broken collarbone. He broke ribs. So I went there and then I did go there after the I think we won that day because I wasn't there. Did you win that day? There's one way of getting rid of the opposition, isn't it? Cut him off on the road after your dad's 750 was in the back.
I know I've not won once of it either.
Did he pay you for the 750? No.
No, that was fine. It landed on top of my man. You know, the bike got the protection with grade through and everything through the top, everything.
Top of it? So it was fine.
Like, it really was a disaster.
But you still thank God the bikes are fine.
The bike was there.
Brilliant. Now, we talked, the last time we spoke to you, we touched on Glenn's career. I know it's all about you, but you know, we still want to know about the present. Now, the Northwest 200, what changed his mind?
What changed his mind? He's 3 cracking kids.
Yeah.
Or my grandkids.
Yeah.
He decided that he wanted to win the British Championship. And he wanted to give 100%. He said that, I'll be honest, I was delighted when he said he wasn't going to go back. And that's exactly what happened. But things, sometimes when you put a lot of effort into things in racing, I always think that's when it can go wrong. And you put that, you get so disappointed when you do it, try to concentrate to go on that straight line.
Mm-hmm.
So he done commentary and he worked with the Northwest, the club, and he did put effort in. But he said to me on the the morning after the first practice, his words were, "That is hard to watch them bikes go out on that line."
And did you know this was
Well,
coming in straight away?
for me as an ex-racer, when he said that hurt him watching, he says, "I got was eating at me."
Yeah.
And I said to Margaret, I said, "You know something, he's going to go back here."
Mhm.
And that's what happened, he came back.
And what do you think about it?
Well, I think I'd be quite happy if he stayed at the British. Yeah. You know, it's all right. It's nerve-wracking. It's like we have had some parties like after like this first year. I'll go. I talk all night. Like,
Go ahead.
Glenn won just as quick as he can do it. Glenn won the first the race, the Northwest. So we all went in with the oysterings and the hospitality.
That's the only reason we're getting.
That's the only with no tickets. So we went in, and we hadn't eaten all day with Glen racing and that. We were hungry. So we had a few beers, and the band started. So I said, we will order the Domino's. So we ordered like the whole crowd of us. We ordered something like 20 pizzas. So the wee Domino's driver who was on his first night, he ended his first night when he got there. He never left. We got him, we bought him a beer and he said, drinking beer. We got him pissed to the Domino's van outside. Anyway, there was the tables at the very top of the hospitality were empty. So we set the pizzas out on the tables for ourselves. Now, all the sponsors and their wives and the companies that aren't miserable like JR buy tables. So they're all sitting, and all their wives, I have to do this here, and all their wives see your pizzas sitting, and we're walking up, and one day thought, oh, it's awfully good to Northwest to put on pizzas. And Glenn's wife said, what will it do? And I says, I'll flip and let them eat it. And they all in their fancy dresses and the gold hanging, and they were all eating pizzas. So we just lifted the phone and ordered the same again down and down. Anyway, I'll be here.
Did you pay for them?
I bought them, I bought them. She made me.
Glenn's prize money. Bought them.
No, I did buy it. Come here. And you went to the Northwest for so long, and your son, it is a fantastic feeling, but it's also a nerve-wracking feeling when they're out there racing. Like,
Yeah.
It is. But
And what about the TT?
well, that was
Has there been a
worse.
whisper?
Yeah. I don't normally interfere. When he done the TT, he knew how I felt. And after he done it, truthful, I flew over for the first day's practice, and he said that I met two people last night that he was at some public thing and was speaking at it. So he says it was too late to get food and it just went to the pizza place. Glenn does eat normally healthy, like. And he says I met two boys. He says, two sidecar boys, father and son. He says like I think that's brilliant. They're at the TT.
Yeah.
He says like their father and son doing that. And I says, hey man, I says, run around the TT with your son beside you in a sidecar. Nah. Now you need to wake up. I said, anyway, so I'm walking down the paddock with him, and there's them happened to be the man and the son come walking, and he calls him and they come over, they're talking away, and he says, I'm not brilliant. I was telling him, I says, no, Glenn, I couldn't do it. I says, no, you need that lane, not your right. But them two guys were killed. It was just a bad TT. Davy Morgan, it just happened. And after I did speak to him, I told him if they hit.
Yeah.
I says, Dan Hoss, you do not need to do the TT. And you're going to go the first year, you can be a week, you're not under so much pressure, but the more you go back there, the more you know what I mean? You're riding for a team. You're going to be expected to win, but 100%. And them bikes out there now are so fast. And I said that you really do need to. And I'm not knocking roads because I don't know how to fun, how to ball.
Yeah.
But on them super bikes around there, they are quick.
Yeah.
So I did, yeah. And then it's like Glenn's like planting the seed. Plant it in and go away and leave him for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then that's when he phoned me one night and said, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back.
Fair play. Fair play. It takes a lot for a rider, especially his caliber, to say, to step back.
Yeah, I know. I like he enjoyed it and all that, but like don't get me wrong. When he just watched the Northwest, them, on what way you call it, Facebook or whatever, you see Glenn talking, like Michael and that. I said like Davy Todd's dying to get racing against Glenn of the Northwest.
Mhm.
You have to know Glenn is winding them up.
Yeah, yeah.
He says like Davy Todd needs to watch out for Storm Stacey. He says I watch out. He has to beat Michael before he starts worrying about me and up. Wait, Davy Todd, me, Glenn, his partner Mark, we've all been on holiday together. We all get on really good. It's just Glenn. It's just winding,
Yeah,
having fun.
yeah. It's the Northern Ireland,
Banter.
humour.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
banter,
Yeah.
isn't it? And some people aren't privy to it, and they sort of take it to heart sometimes. But talking about the TT, Johnny, the TT. Well, hand it over.
He don't want to give it away.
No, he doesn't want to get away. He just wants to keep talking. Keep talking and keep talking. Well, your first TT, when can you remember? Before I ask.
Remember well.
You good lad. Sitting there, and they call it no man's land. As you we're talking about newcomers and Glenn doing TT, and when you're sitting as a newcomer on in no man's land, what's going through your head at that stage? Now, bearing in mind, the tires were basically wooden, and everything, the suspension wasn't as it was, but the determination is there, the want to win and to push the machine beyond its limits, to do what you did. But as a newcomer,
Well, the first time I went to TT, most people go and do the mounts.
yeah,
And it was my father said to me, well, it costs as much to do the mounts, and you get no money if you go to TT. At least you get £250 starting money.
yeah, yeah.
So,
You might as well go and get paid.
That's the way we went. I went straight to TT, and I think I went over once, and got about 5 laps in a road bike. And then went straight into it.
Wow.
And the first row of laps was scary.
I would say so. Because obviously, well, you didn't have a PlayStation then, did you? You had a PlayStation
No.
5 or anything, no?
No,
So-
only got them.
They do a lot of learning through video games, and we've seen it at the show today. There was a Ducati and it scared me even looking at it. I was going to get on it, and I seen Kevin Keys on it, and I was fuck it. The whole floor was lifted. I said, nah, that's not for me. But back then, as you said, you went once, you done 5 laps, and then into the race. You have to do that today.
I did the practice in between.
Mhm.
Probably Joey at that time was still very fan of my father, and Joey took me around, but he was very, very candid to tell me what to do, probably in case I'll do something wrong or make a mistake. But he took me in a couple of laps, but I remember Phil Miller, and Joey was flat out everywhere. By the time you got to the end, you forgot what they said. So thankfully Phil Miller took me around really slow, and
Yeah.
he stopped at 2 or 3 places to tell me, well, be careful here and do this and do that. And
Great.
he really helped me a lot.
And that was on the road bike.
I was on a car.
It was in a car. Because they say in the car is better because on a race bike you're tucked in. You're at that sort of same level. Whereas a road bike, you can't be tucked in doing 30 miles an hour. Like you look a bit of a dick, wouldn't you? So your first experience down Bray Hill, and during the race, now practice is practice. You come out of pit lane, you ride down. It's a wee bit more, well, mellow. During the race, the build up, everyone's waiting, and the first drop of the clutch. What was going through your head? Was it instant sweat? It was like me on the M50 yesterday, or this morning. I was bricking myself. I've been on the M50. I never drove the M50. My dad drove to Manila Park, so I never gave a shit. And I was like, instant sweating. Was that what you were feeling?
No, not really. Once you left the lane, that was it. You
Just forgot.
forgot about it. But only story I do have was the first time I rode a 500 Suzuki, and Merrill Scott was when it was Curly.
Yeah.
was giving me a hand, and first flying that way went through the top of the hill and shut off and that. Never thought I'd know it, but on the way down to the hotel that night, Corey says, I see the lights was red.
Right?
So in other words, you slowed off. So the next practice night I went through it, I got the teeth and I went through it flat out. And I was coming down the hotel and I see the lights was screaming.
Well, we'll go through this, but first of all, we'll talk about, was there ever any, like, want for Johnny to go to the TT, or?
No.
No. But he supported, but he friends with Keith Moore. He went to the road races, he helped him out, Tandragee. He went to the Nationals as well, with his hood up and his cap on. He would have been tortured if he was ever seen, but he enjoyed the road racing,
Oh, he definitely did.
but he didn't like it.
Well, he had two options. That was one hobby. He was one road racing, he was young and so on. Or I would help him as much as I could. And
Sounds familiar.
it's not anything on the roads, but I do feel blessed sitting up beside these guys and that. But I think we got away with an awful lot of things that a lot of people didn't.
Let's coming down the road, man. He's doctor or something.
No, definitely not.
He's blessed to be in the same vehicle as Irvin. So it was never like road racers, like an ex-smoker. So an ex-smoker, I'm a smoker for myself. My dad, he's an ex-smoker. When he caught me smoking, Jesus Christ, he beat me black and blue. Like, I was back in the day, by the way. You know, you can get away with it, or could you? But it was it like that? You knew what road racing was like. You knew the hurt it could bring, so you didn't want Johnny anywhere near it. It was as
There
long
was
as
a few people at the same time as I started. There was like Smiley Robinson and a lot of them, and even for the first ones to break away from road racing, Gary Cowan. You know, there was at my age there was no great radio not to road race, and I just didn't want to do it. I think the biggest lesson I learned was in the Northwest. Whenever he was doing the Red Bull rallies on 600s, so let me and him both ride around the side together.
yeah.
And he came out of the last chicane before the start finish, done a big wheelie.
Mm-hmm.
And he just got the wheel down before he hit the curve at, what do you call that? Juniper. I think he realised what could have happened then.
Wow.
And he was sort of smelling on the helmet.
Yeah. It was near a blessing for him, and look what he's done. Unbelievable. Yeah. But we'll keep on with this. The first TT experiences, how you feel, Brian. Your first TT. How did you feel sitting? We'll finish off. We'll do a whole roundup about your first TT. So your first TT, sitting there, no man's land. You're by yourself. Boom.
Well, when I was growing up, read all the motorcycle news, like the TT was this magical place. For me, that's all I wanted to do really, was to get down the man. Of course, I started at the Manx.
Yeah.
So I went to the Manx on my own, nobody with me, just me, the bike, leathers and the toolbox. And in those days...
And a tin of beans and away you go.
Yeah, well, I had somewhere to stay, okay, but
What year?
it was 1978 was the first, it was the year the first, yeah, it was the first year they had the newcomers race on a separate race, so Connor was there as well, he was on a 350, I was 250. So you were out in the garage, you know, somewhere, it's not like the TT now where everybody's based at the grandstand, so I was in this garage which was close to Bradden Bridge. So I used to work at the bike, and every night in the morning practice I would ride the bike up to the paddock and park it up against the wall, do my 2 laps of practice and retire at Bradden Bridge every time.
Yeah.
Because I only had a few yards to go up the road to get to my garage. Well, luckily there was a guy there on holiday with his wife, and he had a mini with him, so he was able to run errands with me, and he helped me then throughout the race week. So there's not many people just crazy mad to do it just on your own, just arrive over. But before that, I had done a lot of laps on cars and bikes and everything. And if you say setting up the first time down Bray Hill, and you thought you knew where you were going until you set off on the bike, and everything just looked completely different because you were just arriving so much quicker.
Just changes.
Yeah, everything just looked different, and so you had to relearn the whole place again. Then.
Yeah. Can I just, we'll go off topic a wee bit. Well, it's not really off topic, we're talking about road racing. Did any of you ever feel your first road race? Maybe it's just me and I'm gonna look stupid right now, but my first road race was Dundrod, and going up over the Deer's Leap and crossing the other side of the road, it didn't feel right. Did anyone else? Did you feel it? No?
No.
No, alright. We'll just forget about that. Eddie stayed on the left hand side of the road all the time.
No, so I did the Manx, and then the first TT was 1981. So it was my dream to go and race in the Isle and do the TT. Just to win it then was beyond my wildest dreams. It was a dream come true.
So what year was your first? Your Manx?
78 went to the Manx, and then the first TT was 81.
That is no time at all.
Yeah, well, it takes a few years to be comfortable. For me, it took me a number of years just to be comfortable with the place. And then on the 250 in those days, didn't have a lot of power, so if you eased it off at all, you're back 2 years, and when you weren't sure where you were going,
Especially heading up the mountain.
places where you should have been flat out, and if you weren't sure, you're easing it off. So it's a steep learning curve, as I say.
Well, you did the job anyway, and you did what you had to do.
Right, that's right. Yeah, so that was the TT 86 was my first win on Formula 2 World Championship race. So.
Unbelievable.
And Mick Mooney, he
Ran out of batteries, Stephen, that's your fault. Right. Here, you take it.
Yeah, so Mick Mooney, Irish Race Motorcycles, and he'd been involved in racing cars and bikes for a long time, and actually racing in TT himself back in the 40s and 50s. So for him to win, that was the biggest thing for me to win it for Mick. He was so over the moon, he just couldn't believe. And then to win the World Championship for him, he was elderly at the time, and he was such a passionate guy, and such a wonderful sponsor and man. He was, it was great to see the passion in his eyes, when I'd won the race.
And what he done for the sport?
For the sport, yeah. Well, he sponsored a lot of people, Graham McCulloch, one of them, but he helped a lot of people behind the scenes and didn't get any credit for it. But he just loved it, and he did a lot of work on our bikes, the engines. He loved tinkering at the engines, and it was just special for him.
You find that sponsors and people who they're a lot more modest. That's what they want to do. They want to muck in and.
Well, Mick had done racing himself, and he knew what it was all about. A lot of people in racing and sponsors that don't really understand. I think he knew what you were going through as a rider. For him to go into the TT and a fella set in the 1950s or something, like he knew the sport inside out. He just loved it.
Now, Connor, tell us a wee bit about your first experience with the island.
Yeah, was 78 as well.
Yeah.
Yes, 78. That's what I suppose the norm in those years. Some of us had to do the Manx several years. Obviously, you did 78, 79, 1980. There was such a volume of riders, both from England and Ireland and elsewhere, that filled the grids in the Isle of Man. that you really didn't have a chance to get straight into the TT unless you were really a superstar. And so the norm was to get onto the Manx first. And don't forget, even at a Manx Grand Prix, I remember having number 97 on the bike. You know, there would be that many riders starting on the grid. And in those days there were starting two together every 10 seconds or so. So you had a huge amount of traffic, and if you were, I remember it being a real quandary to me, being number 97, and then being so good at road racing, and you kept arriving in all this traffic all the time. It was pretty much challenging, so it took a while before you managed to weasel your way out through it and maybe do well out of it. But the Irish lads, most of us were all good at road races, and we found our way around the place pretty quick. The thing about the TT was, whatever about running around Akadui, Kirkson, Mondello, and even Skerries, it was a short enough, narrow circuit. When you went to somewhere like Dundrod, or the Northwest, or the TT, then the bike was absolutely flat out with the highest gearing. And you were going through places at 140, 150. And it wibbled or it wobbled, and it went this way and that way. That's when you suddenly got challenged about how good you really are.
And that thing squealing.
It's holding flat,
Yeah.
and realizing that what might happen at the bottom of Bray Hill was the greatest squeak. I remember the tire coming up through the seat. And realizing,
As you do.
oh God, we've got to do something about the suspension here. Make sure that doesn't happen. You know?
Oh dear bless us.
Because you might do 5 or 6 laps and never put the tire to the
Yeah,
seat.
yeah.
You start getting better. You know, are you willing to take that more skill? Are you getting to know how to hold it? And so eventually, getting through practice like that, comes the first start, and you're ready for it. You know, and either way, your mind is made up. So it's not so scary then. Your pulse is down and away you go. But that initiation at the beginning is the greatest experience, and sharing it and coming out of it well. I did.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. We'll go to Eddie.
Yeah.
With the same question, the island.
Yeah, I did the same as Johnny actually. We did all our road races here, our Skerries, our fours, our and all that. And everyone obviously wanted to make it to the Isle of Man. It was part of the scene.
Was there many from England and further afield, that were obviously there's no road racing really over maybe
Yeah,
Germany,
Scarborough.
Czech, and Scarborough,
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was a shock for them as well, but for the Irish riders, it was nearly.
It was probably
home.
easier for us.
Home.
Yeah, absolutely. But as I said, I did the same as Johnny. I never did the Manx. The first year I sort of started racing, I entered Skerries and they wouldn't give me an entry. So my first road race was actually 4. So that was my first road race. But as I say, same as Johnny, hit the TT, and I remember I hadn't been over at all. It was literally get over there in the boat and do laps in the van, and I had 250 and 350 at the time, and as you said, it was just the first practice session, just different gig from a van to a bike, and just heading down Bray Hill, and I sort of, I suppose my very first lap on a bike, I had it all taken in, but probably only the first 5 miles then when you're on the bike.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're going that extra 100 miles an hour faster, and suddenly the really wide left became a really sharp left. And I know I was pulled in sort of halfway through practice week, because a few of the marshals had told them, it was kicking up a bit of dust here and there, and probably a bit over the top, but yeah, that was it. That's sort of the way it went, and the same gig, 2 or 3 of us sleeping in the van, and so it was always proper, old road racing, what you did, and then of course both races seized.
Oh.
Just learning the skills of jetting to get it right, you know, and over there, you know, the altitude and stuff to get it right. And we were just sort of used to Irish roads, you know, you put that size jets in for roads and that size jets in for short circuits, but over there you're trying to find the balance for down low, you know, and then you have your, you know, altitude, you get rich as you go up the mountain, so I was working it all out, and it didn't work out for me for the first year, and you learn then as you go along, but just amazing experience. But the very first lap I remember coming in, I'd say my eyes were out to the visor, you know, just after the first lap pulling in and just rattling, but what an experience, you know. It was one of those that's it, I'm coming back, you know, you had to come back. So I missed a couple of years then. It was quite expensive because I really didn't have a sponsor that, you know, the amount of fuel and tires and whatever that you needed and parts. So I missed a couple of years, and there's actually your dad and Joe Miller, I met them in a bar, funnily enough. It was actually Storm. He said it to me. He said, like, why are you not here? And I said, you know, I didn't have any money, and blah blah blah. And then that's when Joe first gave me a ride. Do you remember that reverse cylinder 500 that Con had? He had that sitting there, and he said, sure, just take it. That was way before I started riding for him. That was '84, I think. That was it. There was sort of a bit of a link there then, and then we were off. You know, it's just funny how things work out.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that I wasn't there, I sort of hooked up with Joe. You know.
Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but no, I just like us all here. Like when we wanted to go road racing, that was always, to me anyway, was to get to the Isle of Man. It was the ultimate. But as Johnny said, I suppose back then we probably, as you're saying nowadays, we probably did leave sort of the 10% maybe over there.
Yeah.
And I just think now, like, the super bikes over there, like everyone is just right to the edge. Like it's a short circuit now, and they're down to, you know, your 4 sectors, and I'm missing 1.8 seconds on sector 3. Like we could have been 2 minutes behind the guy in front of us. You know, back then, you know, things were so different, but they've just got so fast now. It's just they're down to, you know, like look what Glenn did, like nearly 130 miles an hour as a newcomer.
First time there.
My God, unreal.
Scary.
Yeah, very.
You can see the photos of them come through the concrete trees and completely sideways.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I did that once in the Northwest, but I ended up in the hole.
Yeah. Easily done. No, but it's just got so fast now. I think, to be honest with you, I think it started nearly heading for like Daytona, the big bikes will become 600s, I'd say, super sport. And like the tires, everything's just getting so good now. Like the speeds, you know, 136 miles an hour. Like when's it going to stop? You know, it's
the way they're going with the Otters mount and the IRRC.
Yes.
They're
super
bikes.
Are gone.
You know,
And
this new sports bike class and stuff, you know, is coming in. To me, it doesn't make sense. I don't know about you guys, but to me, I've rode super bikes, I've rode 600s, I've rode 350s. The 350 is the hardest bike I've ever rode in my life. It's a spawn frame, it's a beam frame. The 600 is a wee bit easier, but the corner speed that's involved in these things. A super bike, if you get in trouble on a super bike, you can step it up and you know,
steer out of it.
Yeah. You can get the back end, you can square it off, do whatever you want. But to me, this might sound crazy, but a super bike is a lot safer to ride than a super sport or a super twin. Or,
it's just the speed element of it. That's about it. You know, it's so much horsepower. Yeah,
it's just the horsepower thing in the straight lines.
Yeah.
Is the thing now. But
yeah, well, we don't know what way it's going to go, but that's just a personal thing. Watching it, like as I said, I was talking to Ian Locker. He was down testing in Spain last week, and he did some laps himself. You know, he's got a blade and a 600 with him, and he was just testing, and he decided just to do some laps, and he was just blown away, he said, by the big bike.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's a stocker, he just said, like, he's used with big bikes, but he said the performance that's come on over the last 5 years, say,
Yeah.
like, just every year is just more, 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 yeah.
Jump big time, though. He
Yeah.
rode, like he rode a 20, up till 2016, 17.
Yeah. Yeah,
So from there.
yeah,
came on
he
even
just,
more.
he can't believe it, yeah, yeah. You know, and he's sort of the same opinion, like, he, you know, he'd like to see it just calm down a little
Yeah.
bit, you know.
Yeah.
Keep it going,
Yeah.
but calm it down a bit, yeah, yeah.
We need the 200 plus horses, you know, because racers themselves, they want.
Oh,
they
yeah,
want more.
absolutely.
They want more,
Yeah, yeah.
They want to go faster no matter what.
Yeah.
You're sitting on.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
we're not going to the rest of the.
No. No, good experience though, TT. Great. Yeah, that was my first one though. Yeah, brilliant.
Eddie,
Yeah.
What types of our clothes? Are we all right yet? We're all right yet? Yes, tell us about your first experience.
I didn't do it, so.
There was no cops having home.
Well, the thought, did the thought ever come to you, or what do you think?
Nah, I was meant to do it.
Your microphone's
one time.
not working.
I was meant to do it one time and then I broke my knee. So that put me out. I thought I was getting too old. You know, I said I'll not be doing this here for much longer. Little did I realise it's gone another 13 years. But, yeah, that was mainly it. But my goal in them days was more tracks. Up until like the Regal come out.
Legal Regal.
The Lego Regal. No, to be truthful, the Regal was a brilliant thing. You know, it was fantastic racing. Like we'll all sit and we'll talk, and the banter. It was fierce. Like you got free tires at companies to do it. You know, you're getting free tires. Like, it's a good thing. The Regal, the roads, short circuits, thrown together. I think it was a fantastic championship. You know, it really was.
And it brought your Joeys, your Rays, your Irwins all together through the roads and the short circuits. Do you think anything like that would ever come about again, or you know, the alcohol's coming in now? All right, you got your vapes. You know, the cigarette companies had a lot of money, had a lot to do with road racing. You've got vape companies now that you see the odd time, even on the side of Grand Prix bikes. You've got Guinness Zero, you know, that I'm on tonight. But you know, do you think anything got whatever come back?
Yeah.
Is that goose? Is that grey goose?
You know, probably possible. But I honestly think them days of the mixed, like the Regal, I can't see that ever coming back. All I can say is like we all learned things like Brian Reed came out in the Regal. I would have thought he was just a road racer.
Yeah.
Little did realise he could blow the bugger could actually ride. And he did, like, and he was out and he won it and he could ride.
Yeah.
No, I mean that as the biggest credit as it could give him.
Not on the day, but
No, he could ride. No, he definitely could. You know, he could ride on, especially if it was damp. Jesus, he loves it damp. But it was good. It wasn't just a road race.
yeah.
You know.
All rounder. All rounder.
No, it's a good track ride. That's a compliment.
Ladies and gentlemen, the road racing legends. Thank you guys, bar's still open. Can I just say again, Oh yes, we've got the raffle. I forgot about the raffle. Jesus Christ.